Paul, I'll start with your general team news first. Any fresh injury concerns for this one?
We have got one, Mike, that I don't want to divulge who it is, but we'll be missing a player, certainly, that I think people would expect to be in the squad at a minimum come Friday night. Like I said, I'm sure you understand why I don't want to particularly give Southend the heads up on that, but that was sort of after the weekend, it became apparent that we had picked up an injury.
How serious an injury is it?
I don't think it's too bad, in fairness, but certainly one that I would imagine we'll see the player miss. I would definitely say the next 2, maybe more. But we should be speaking weeks rather than months.
But it would have been as you said, what would have been an expected starter in your side? Yeah,
I think so.
Okay. What is the injury?
A hamstring.
Right. Okay. Outside of that, then, that's the only concern.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone back in contention?
Just trying to think where we were at before the weekend, Max. We'd had a couple of. Just let me look at the board quickly.
Sean and Joel, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean Joel's training, Sean's training. Again, we train Monday, train today, we'll train tomorrow, and they've took part in those sessions or will have done. So they're available in terms of the fit and the training. As I've said before, in terms of in reality where they're at overall fitness wise, I think they still very much work in progress, as the saying goes. But they are training. Max Wright's obviously out with his thigh injury.
How's he progressing with
it? I don't think particularly much progress. He was out on the grass and then I think he felt it again. So I don't know if that's really a step backwards or it was just a warning sign of it's not ready, which we didn't expect it to be, in fairness, so quickly. But that's it keeps it on.
Okay. How far off's John McAtee now at this point?
He's definitely better. And we said we worked him hard in the gym, etc. He had a run last week. He's done more running this week. So we're kind of not far off that next stage of seeing if he can, different movements, different aspects, I guess more football related movements, whether he can cope with that.
Have you targeted a specific game yet, or are you sort of erring on the side of caution right now?
No, I think, while you always have, I think the initial sort of chat is always 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then you attach again to it. I try not to get too sort of bogged down on that because it can usually, lead to disappointment, or on occasions, I think sometimes you maybe can hold a player back even. If you think, we said that game and we're a week ahead of that. Well, if you feel fine in your body's everything's saying you're fine, then get on with it. But so I'm trying not to do that. What I would say, I hope he's not too much longer. With the sort of progress that has been made, at least.
Okay. We'll wish him well with that. As far as that end of the field, and I'll appreciate if you draw your eyes and sigh at this one, but I'll ask anyway because you've been asked about it before. It keeps coming up. Omar Bogle's still out of the reckoning at Donny. You still need a striker. Have you explored that option again? Is that anything you will?
Oh, look, I know the player. I know the agent very well. They know where I am, and they know that I'd said if he became available, as in his mind would come, then that could happen in an instant. But we were told very clearly that were not an option for him. And it's funny because someone else just mentioned it as in it seemed as apparently it's reared its head again, which I guess is why you're asking.
Yeah.
And just said they thought that they can't understand how someone doesn't want to just go and play football. And
that was going to be my question.
Yeah, look, and I'm not the person to answer that, Mark, unfortunately. But the 100%, January, we can argue in some people's eyes isn't too far away. Why run the risk going somewhere, maybe not going as well as you want, or getting an injury, whatever it is. So I think there'll be some players out there at this point that, whether everyone's situation might be different, but are thinking, well, it's not that long till January. Some people might be thinking, if I'm not playing, I might be able to have a slightly better Christmas. That's the world we live in, and that's the reality. So, that's a no-goer as far as I'm concerned. If the phone ever rung and it was Omar or his agent, then I'd happily look at that. Of course I would.
Okay, appreciate you answering it again. I know it keeps coming back up, unfortunately. No. Any other live lines of inquiry in that regard with anyone else right now?
I've been on the phone yesterday and today, so we're seeing if there's any progress to be made on a couple of things. Obviously now it's going to be cutting it fine for Friday night, but I would, as I've said all along, would like it. I may be looking at it, just would the zone squad benefit from having a fresh face in the group? There's a little boost after the last sort of 4 results at least, and that's something again as manager that comes into your thinking. Trying to look after them, try to perhaps give some people opportunities, looked at 1 or 2 different ways to go slightly. Now I think it's very difficult to judge all of those things on like individual games. So it's not to say that something couldn't work given more time. However, there is, again, the other option is to see if we can find a different solution in terms of from outside the current squad, and that's the inquiries are what they are, inquiries at this moment in time, to see if there's anyone out there that we feel can bring something to the squad.
Nothing closer to being more definite than an inquiry.
Doesn't seem so, Mike. And for a lot of clubs today, it'll be their day off. I think we did get sort of information from one club back just prior to coming on here that someone was a no. So yeah, a couple of other things to sort of either wait on, check up on, but at the minute, as you can imagine, a bit like what I've just discussed in terms of players in January not being too far away. I think what not you, but as in people have to understand that almost a change in the ruling in terms of, so EFL squads, unless, can't bring people in to replace anyone they let out, unless it's a free agent. At this stage, there'd be a big question mark as in how fit are they? And are they ready to go? Like I said, a lot of games coming up in the busy period. I think it makes it harder to get people out on loan. You're targeting certain squads where you're hoping they've got big squads and therefore might have an excess of players. But again, a club might be one of those and gets hit by a lot of injuries and therefore keeps people in. I've had certainly a conversation this week with one football club that had a number of players available, I think 2 weeks ago. Now they've not, or they've got one, and it's not in a position that certainly we need. So it just shows our situations change and makes it extremely difficult.